Hi there, my name is Mel Solon. The presentation you're about to hear is basically a condensed mini course on the subject of relationship compatibility. Its purpose is to bring hope to anyone looking for a practical solution for resolving relationship problems. While the format may seem a little unusual, it was chosen as the most efficient and effective way of delivering this large amount of content in a single sitting. At the end of the audio presentation, the floor is yours. Take notes and refer to the slide number when your Q&A part of the program begins. If I'm correct, the purpose of your organization is to help you and its members address and resolve interpersonal relationship problems. Assuming that's a fair statement, how do you define interpersonal relationship problems? My answer: interpersonal relationship problems are those problems that stand in the way of fulfilling your vows. Your vows to love and to cherish, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do you part. I believe this may be the greatest challenge of your life. What makes this challenge so difficult is that relationships are exceptionally complicated. And what makes them so complicated is that each partner is constantly struggling to find a healthy balance between their selfish, egotistical nature and their need at times to be selfless and altruistic. My approach to relationship problem solving recognizes 6 major premises. 1. You and most everyone are searching for the love of your life, or you found it, but it needs some maintenance and repairs, or maybe an overhaul. 2. Everyone loves a love story, yet most endings are not storybook, as evidenced by a 40 to 50% divorce rate, a rate which hasn't improved in the last 50 years, despite all the typical relationship advice books ever written. Incidentally, the breakup rate for dating couples is 85%. Another incidental statistic: what percent of divorces are initiated by women? The answer, depending on sources and criteria, is between 70 and 90%. Premise 3. The grass isn't always greener, which accounts for second, third, and even fourth marriages. Then there's Elizabeth Taylor, who was married 8 times to 7 men. Richard Burton, twice. Premise number 4. People generally only allow themselves to be known by others to the extent that they want to be known. Relationships, therefore, often fail because people make promises and commitments to each other and get married without really knowing each other. Believe it or not, some people put more time and energy into buying a car or home than they do into choosing a lifetime partner. In many cases, their decision is based on a desperate need for companionship, or on little more than looks, sex, and chemistry, which they call love. The getting to know each other phase is further complicated by the fact that when first meeting or dating someone, people are on their best behavior and not fully authentic. In short, they may have problems of which they are totally unaware or have never addressed, or they may simply not be a good fit. Premise 5. Putting a relationship back together requires getting reacquainted. How to do that is at the heart of my relationship problem-solving process. Lastly, number 6, what do you think is the single greatest obstacle that makes finding the love of your life and fulfilling your vows the greatest challenge of your life? My answer in 6 words: you and your partner are unique. Everyone knows this, but how unique? My answer: immeasurably so. Think about that for a moment. How can I say immeasurably? Consider that your brain is comprised of 100 billion neurons, Each neuron can communicate with other neurons through thousands of synapses and dendrites. This produces a number of possible connections in the mind so large it exceeds the number of elementary protons and neutrons in the universe, plus all the grains of sand on all the beaches of the world. To grasp the size of these numbers, consider that with only 9 digits, a Social Security number can produce 1 billion possibilities. And there are more possible moves in a chess game played on 64 squares with 32 pieces than there are atoms in the universe. This means that no two minds, meaning no two people who have ever lived, have the same family, educational, social, political, religious, economic, cultural, racial, time, or place background. It means further that no two people have the exact same psychological, philosophical, and spiritual perspectives on life. This explains why our attitudinal and emotional responses to the same event can vary so greatly. It's not the event that causes the responses. It's the filter, the mind through which the event is processed. Given our differences, is it any wonder that any relationship survive? The potential for incompatibility is endless. As stated previously, many relationships fail because the partners don't really know each other, and they don't know each other because they don't talk. They either don't know how to talk or what to talk about. Often it's because they're afraid to get real. As I said earlier, putting a relationship back together requires getting reacquainted, and getting reacquainted means talking about everything and anything openly and honestly, uninhibited by the fear of becoming psychologically intimate. Later in this presentation, I offer a practical solution for doing just that. Quick background. I'm a retired CPA, former stockbroker, writer, and presenter of self-help content. Yes, that's Charlie Sheen in Wall Street. Why is a stockbroker called a stockbroker? Because they make you broker. After 5 tax seasons, I was taxed to my limits. Shortly after beginning broker training, the market began crashing. It went from reaching 1,000 for the first time to 616. While navel-gazing and contemplating my future, I bumped into and fell in love with the self-development field. I met my departed wife at a Beverly Hilton Hotel singles dance, got engaged 3 days later on Valentine's Day, and married 3 weeks later in Vegas during tax season. Incidentally, the event was called an alumni dance. It was aimed at college graduates, but only the men had to be college graduates. The women could be secretaries or teachers. Remember, this was the 60s. My wife's name was Bryna, the love of my life. Here we are in Vegas on our wedding day. That's me at 26, 60 years ago. Interesting note, we celebrated our anniversary twice a year, on the 4th and 5th of March. Formally, we signed the papers at 11 p.m. shortly after arrival on the 4th, but we didn't say our I do's till 1 o'clock in the morning on the 5th. Back to Bryna. She was not only my wife, she was my lover, my best friend, and business partner for much of our lives. Bryna passed 3 weeks after our 50th anniversary of ALS, a neurological terminal illness, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. I was her 24/7 caregiver during the last years of her life. Many of you may be familiar with ALS through the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge fundraisers. To hear Bryna's 10-minute audio response to hearing the words, "You have ALS, a terminal disease," check out my website, thethinkingplace.com. It's under the ALS link at the top of the homepage. In her message, she reaffirms that one of the most important things we had ever learned from our exposure to the self-help field was the importance of attitude. Back to attitude. I began my presentation by stating that because you and your partner are immeasurably unique, building the relationship of your dreams can be quite challenging. The good news is that even opposites can be compatible, It's called complementary. You can see your differences as incompatibilities, or with the right attitude, you can turn the two of you into a creative, complementary, uniquely interesting couple, the only one of its kind in the universe. If you were too much alike, you'd soon find each other rather boring. Incidentally, one of the most self-defeating attitudes people have is the I'll be happy when attitude. For example, I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I get divorced. I'll be happy when we have kids. I'll be happy when the kids are grown up and out of the house. It's not going to happen. If you can't be happy now and here, you won't be happy then and there. As you've often heard, happiness is a journey, not a destination. The fact is, your attitude and how you think, consciously and subconsciously, are more responsible for how you feel than what goes on outside of your head and body. Dr. Maxwell Maltz puts it this way: your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between that which is real and that which is vividly imagined. This means just thinking about stressful situations can spike your blood pressure and increase strain on your heart. Dr. Wayne Dyer explains feelings this way: you are the person responsible for how you feel. You feel what you think, and you can learn to think differently about anything if you decide to do so. Ask yourself, is there a sufficient payoff in being unhappy, down, or hurt? Then begin to examine in depth the kind of thoughts that are leading you to these debilitating feelings. Again, your feelings are directly related to how you think. You live in your head. In short, we are in charge of our feelings, maybe not as much as in our emotional reactions, but certainly in the debilitating feelings and self-defeating attitudes and thoughts that we cling to or dwell upon. In the same vein, when you say words like, "it makes me so angry," or "it pisses me off," know that an "it" doesn't affect everyone the same way. Therefore, it's not the "it's" fault, and it is not the direct cause of our feelings. Once again, our feelings depend on our attitudes and how we think in our heads about external events and circumstances. Before I offer my solution for getting partners reacquainted, here's some standard advice on how to get along. Advice such as, it takes work and a tolerance for conflict. It means being kind to each other and learning to forgive. Forgiveness, of course, applies as well to relationships beyond your partnership, whether with a friend, family member, or any relationship worth saving. Plus, the foundation of any successful relationship is found in the 3 C's. What are the 3 C's? The answer: it's all about communication, compromise, and commitment. What is meant by commitment? To me, commitment means that when the character of your partner is attacked by others, a friend or a family member, for example, you would give your partner the benefit of the doubt and be there for them. Further, being committed means you will treat each other with respect and love even when upset or angry, because you've learned that almost more important than getting agreement is the need to feel heard. And that means genuinely listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Being committed means that you promise to support your partner now and in the future, and you won't throw in the towel nor bail at the first sign of trouble. The reward for true commitment is the fertilizer out of which trust, security, and peace of mind can grow. Last piece of advice in 2 words: know thyself. If you don't know yourself, your hopes, dreams, goals, and wishes, how can you expect to know your partners? And now, rather than bore you with more typical advice on how to get along, my real purpose here is to share. Specifically, to share a unique approach to the relationship problem-solving process. When thinking about problem solving, consider these 3 quotes from my first book. 1. No problem can stand the assault of sustained thinking. 2. A problem well stated is half solved. And 3. You can't solve a problem with the same kind of thinking that caused the problem in the first place. Basically, my goal is fourfold. 1. Increase the odds of making relationships work. 2. Reduce the divorce rate. 3. Increase the happy marriage rate. And 4. Make the world a kinder, nicer, more compatible place, one couple at a time. And now, my approach to relationship problem solving. Not surprisingly, my approach utilizes my book, The Relationship Compatibility Checklist. Early on in our relationship and self-development career, we said one of these days we're going to write a book on relationships. When Bryna passed, I pulled together 50 years of material and wrote the book. If single, dating, or engaged, this book serves as the ultimate red flag finder, so that readers will never again have to spend weeks, months, or years dating the wrong people, which, had they been vetted more diligently with this book, they would have foreseen how many of those relationships would have been doomed from the outset. If you're married and getting reacquainted, you'll learn things about yourself and your partner that you might otherwise not learn in another 25 years of marriage. Most importantly, you'll discover the obstacles that may be preventing your relationship from becoming the relationship of your dreams. This book is unlike any relationship advice book you may have ever read, because it is not an advice book. No rules, no do's and don'ts, no always this and never that. It doesn't tell you how to think, but it does tell you what to think about. Basically, it's a tool to help you implement the relationship problem-solving process that follows. Either way, it's a fun, easy-to-use red flag finder and thought-provoking conversation facilitator. In short, this book can not only help you decide whether you and a partner or romantic love interest are made for each other, it can also help you decide if you're not. The book is comprised of 727 main questions, often with clarifying questions within the questions, all covering 23 categories of life. Put simply, the book is a tool to help you interview and profile yourself and your partner. Note here, you can read the book together, or you can review it alone to prepare for a face-to-face discussion. It works like this. You and a partner or potential love interest both respond to the same entry, which is presented either as a question or statement about relationships or an attitude about life. The first half of your response is circled YN, yes, no, TF, true, false, or ABC, etc. for multiple choice entries. The second half of the entry asks if your partner were to answer differently or the opposite, would their answer, in your opinion, be an NI, non-issue, a PC, potential conflict, or a DB, deal breaker? In the personality and character category, you'll be discussing questions related to anger, arrogance, stress, sense of humor, helpful, flexible, romantic, control, cynicism, and jealousy, to name a few, plus phrases or words such as punctual, vengeful, wound tight, easily provoked, defensive, judgmental, know-it-all, and many more, both positive and negative. Under the appearance and looks category, here's two light-hearted examples. Keyword, head hair. How important is hairstyle? A, very, B, somewhat, C, not very. Is it a non-issue, potential conflict, or deal breaker? Long, short, cropped, wavy, curly, mohawk, crew cut, bald, shaved, bun, bouffant, bob, braids. How about color? Black, blonde, red, brown, burgundy, blue, silver, salt and pepper. How about facial hair? Keyword, facial hair. Is facial hair a non-issue, potential conflict, or deal breaker? Clean shaven, full beard, goatee, stubble, standard mustache, horseshoe, handlebar, mutton chops, sideburns. If you're reviewing this with a partner and areas of disagreement arise, lighten up, engage your sense of humor, remain calm, and discuss your differences civilly. Incidentally, whatever you feel about an entry, be careful not to underestimate the value of what may appear to be a petty or trivial issue. You'd be surprised, or maybe not, at how little it can take to start an argument or reveal a major difference of opinion. A discussion of these minor issues can sometimes be quite revelatory. Here's 2 hints on how to argue successfully. 1. Argue one issue at a time. Bring it to some kind of closure, even if only temporarily. Jumping to another issue while discussing a current problem is often a sidetrack, simply a way to escape facing the real issues in the topic at hand. 2. To argue successfully, stay open-minded, which simply means be willing to listen to another's viewpoint non-reactively. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with them or act on your opponent's position, but you are willing to genuinely listen. As Aristotle said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Often, all that the other party really wants is to feel heard. Note also, when discussing an entry, there are no absolutely right or wrong answers, just your subjective opinions expressed as a starting point for deliberation or discussion. Here are 3 more sample entries. 1. Bullying, found in the children category. While preferring neither, would you rather that your child come home and tell you, A, he's being bullied, or B, he's being accused of being a bully? Is it a non-issue either way, a potential conflict if you and your partner disagree, or a deal breaker if you disagree? 2. Parents, found in the background category. Did they argue? Did they fight like cats and dogs? Did they hardly ever fight? Was one dominant? Which one? Was one submissive, passive, and easygoing? Which one? Were they equals? Were they different outside the marriage? 3rd example, character, found under looks and appearance. Can you judge a person's character by their appearance? In short, can you tell a book by its cover? In other words, can you tell by looking at someone if they're a liar, a criminal, a child molester, a domestic abuser, or a good or bad person? If your answers about character were divergent, would that be a non-issue, a potential conflict, or a deal breaker? Personally, I don't believe you can tell a book by its cover, but with 727 entries, I believe you can not only get inside the cover, but each chapter will get you inside your partner's mind in each one of the 23 categories of life. Next question. Can you change the past? My answer is no, but with the support of therapy, one-on-one or group, plus relationship retreats, and my book, you can change the way you look at the past and how you remember it. With a healthier and wiser perspective, you can effectively change the past and how it affects you in the present. Not only will working with my book help readers address and solve problems, it will also help them discover what their problem or problems really are, not what they defensively say or think they are. Similarly, they'll discover that what they think is a problem is actually a consequence of an issue that's not even on the table or under discussion. For example, you may be blaming your problem on infidelity when the focus should be on the issue or issues that led to the infidelity. As I said before, without open, honest communications, relationships will fail eventually. How, you may ask, does my book aid the communication process? How? In addition to not only being a thought-provoking conversation facilitator, it's non-threatening because the book is doing the asking, not you or a partner. This makes it easy for couples to talk about practically everything and anything in a fun, non-defensive environment. In so doing, the book serves as a tool to help you conduct personalized self-help therapy. 3 final sample questions. 1 on marriage, 2 on divorce. 1. Why do people get married besides the following reasons? Love, companionship, a meal ticket, legal benefits, children, sex, and to please others. How about housekeeper, handyman, nurse with a purse, playmate, trophy mate, or a guaranteed date on Friday or Saturday night? My book includes 35 other conscious or unconscious reasons why people get married. Question 1 on divorce. What are the 7 most common reasons why unhappy marriages do not end in divorce? Here's my list of 7. Financial issues, religious vows, children, the insecurity of one or both partners, to protect appearances, legal issues, or too many obstacles to starting over. How about the fear of being alone? Note here that if these unhappy marriages were added to the divorce rate statistics would increase by another 15 to 25%. As I've said, making an emotionally stimulating, honest relationship work takes work. A lot of work. Not hard work, just a lot of talking. Question 2 on divorce. What are some common reasons given for divorce or ending a relationship besides the following? Money problems, cheating, a new love, incompatible goals, substance abuse, big and little lies and loss of trust, little or poor communications. How about changes in appearance, temper, cross-dressing, health issues, lack of romance, neurosis of either or both parties? My book includes 27 other conscious or unconscious reasons for divorce or ending a relationship. With my book, you can beat the odds. At this point, you should have a gnawing question based on the 4th premise of my relationship philosophy. In it, I stated that people get married without really knowing each other, and that they generally only allow themselves to be known by others to the extent that they want to be known. In short, few of us are truly transparent. Whether due to low self-esteem or fear that they won't pass the muster, everyone lies to some degree, by omission, exaggeration, and sometimes intent. If true, the question gnaws. How can you trust the partner's or romantic interest's answers to the questions in this book? After all, the book is not a lie detector. While it's true that people can't read a lying mind, feelings can often tell us when answers to questions don't make sense or are inconsistent with or contradict other answers to questions that are tangentially related. Such inconsistencies can reveal possible deception and may suggest further inquiry. While the book is not a lie detector, the comprehensiveness and unique structuring and ordering of the 727 questions in 23 categories of life, combined with the tone and tenor of their answers, will give you a pretty good idea if a partner or potential love interest is being less than open and honest with you, or hopefully someone you find uncommonly trustworthy. As I've said more than once, with this reference book, you can beat the odds. You don't have to become a sad statistic. As I said earlier, we only knew each other for 3 weeks from the day we met to the day we got married. In that time, we talked about everything and anything, often from morning to night and evening to daybreak. You and a partner, however, with the benefit of this book, could gain a surprisingly deep knowledge of each other in as little as an evening or 2. That's the power of this book. It's so effective at helping you talk openly and honestly about practically anything and everything that you'll soon experience the secret to and the joy of psychological intimacy. With this reference book, I repeat, you can beat the odds. You don't have to become a sad statistic, and you'll never again have to say, if I only knew then what I know now. With that, I leave you with a 5-letter word and acronym to remind you of what life is all about. Quite simply, it's all about heart. HEART. Health, economics, personal economics, also known as money, plus attitude, relationships, and thinking. Note that attitude is at the center. As the saying goes, there's very little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative. Here's a perfect example of this. While my wife was on her deathbed, she recorded her response to learning her fate with the words, "The disease may be taking my body, but it doesn't have to take my mind." In signing off, I wish that your life be blessed with the joy of a psychologically intimate and uniquely compatible life partner who also has a great attitude. What more could you ask for? Please share and join me in helping to make the world a kinder, nicer, more compatible place, one couple at a time.